So what happened again? Fallout 4 gets a big update to commemorate its anniversary, and this turns out to be a relative disaster, with many people now having even more problems with their game than they were prior to this update. As yes, Fallout 4's anniversary update seems to have broken Fallout 4 in more ways than one. Yeah, there's probably a bit more going on than even you realize. Even from the initial release, things were definitely problematic here, as this new creation menu is proving to be a source for quite a few issues. Many users found themselves unable to enter into the menu at all, just getting this operation could not be completed error. And what I found is after trying to re-enter the menu after getting that error, would softlock your entire game, requiring you to force exit it. And funny enough, this is not a new issue. This is one of the huge problems that plagued last year's next-gen update as well, many even being hopeful that this would have been gone with the most recent update. Thankfully, as time went on, it seems like things were actually getting a bit better. Getting into this menu seems to be more consistent now, although it still definitely has a lot of problems even after you get in. This morning, my first several attempts on Xbox yielded this. I couldn't find anything other than these Creation Club items. Although perhaps this is just a very elaborate sales tactic. If you actually do get in, things are far from perfect, as loading can take ages. Yesterday, I actually bought points to start testing some of the new paid mods, and I literally couldn't spend them as my account wouldn't update the balance. Thankfully, after several restarts, I could actually give them the points I had purchased. I found just waiting here for everything to load in seems to fix things if you could actually get this far. Although this all being a problem is pretty ironic when one of the patch notes was literally about BethNet connectivity. But the problem many of you clicked on this video facing, and what is perhaps the single biggest issue right now, this update also broke mods and in more ways than many were expecting. A ton of players are getting this error now, as basically you cannot enable mods requiring DLC for Fallout 4. It'll error out saying you're missing the required files because this new creation store isn't recognizing your installed DLC. This is a big problem. Once you access the creation store, the game thinks you no longer own Fallout 4's DLCs. And as a result, it'll automatically disable any mods that require the DLC, and then you can't re-enable them because it thinks you don't have the required DLC. So hypothetically, you could get around this by just never opening the creation store. On PC, you could do this even more easily. Just enable all of the mods you want on in your mod manager of choice, and then load into the game, never opening this menu, and your mods won't be disabled. But of course, this is really a multi-pronged issue, because even further, trying to download and use any mods that require the DLC, like just trying to grab a cool new mod, is also not possible, because it'll say you don't own the DLC. As a result of this, a huge portion of mods are just non-functional right now. But to be clear, this is just a problem with the store and mod page. At least for me on PC, in-game, the DLC still works. It's this new menu that just thinks you don't have it. That seems to be the point of failure, which is absolutely horrific because that would mean Bethesda literally broke free mods that require DLC as a result of adding paid mods. This paid mod storefront literally broke a bunch of free mods. And to make matters worse, I even had the exact same issues after buying some of the paid mods where I just couldn't activate them for some reason and they wouldn't appear in-game. And where this becomes a gigantic issue is all of a sudden Fallout 4 gets this cool new anniversary edition. You have a bunch of players returning to check out the update, check out the new storefront. They go to load their save and oh no, a bunch of your mods are missing and a bunch of your save data may now end up corrupted if you actually load in. So in effect, unless you're on board with just starting a totally new playthrough, Fallout 4 is kind of unplayable for some people now. I saw some posts about people talking about taking the day off to play all of this. Could you imagine how mad you would be if this is what you spent money on and then used some of your free time to experience? And oh yeah, you kind of have less mod space now in a weird way. With the switch to the creation store, mod installs now require mod space to occur. So the total mod space on Xbox wasn't changed at all. It's still just 2 gigabytes. Although they did tease that this could be raised in the future. But now, when you download a 200 megabyte mod, it'll require, let's say, 300 megabytes of free space to actually download and install. Once it's done downloading and installing, it'll only require 200 megabytes of your mod space, but when it comes to larger mods, this becomes a really big issue now. Like here, I have over a gigabyte of free space available, and this mod is under 900 megabytes, but I don't have enough room to install and download it, because it's requiring more space than 1.2 gigabytes. And perhaps most frustrating, I don't actually know how much space this needs. I would just have to start deleting mods and guess how much eventual space is required. Of course, in the future, if mod space is raised, this will become a non-issue, but it does mean actually building a load order on Xbox is a lot more complicated now. And hypothetically, the load order you were using previously that worked and fit might not fit the same way anymore. Also, for whatever reason, is just a nice cherry on top, when I exit Fallout 4 on PC, the game just freezes for a while. It'll eventually close on its own, but it'll take a few minutes sometimes and just locks in place, or you have to force close it. I've seen a lot of posts talking about how these problems were expected, or how Bethesda gave us a heads up on this update, so you should have known mods were breaking. But what I think a lot of fans aren't realizing is these issues weren't expected. Mods were always going to break, but that was largely talking about some of the main menu mods, or even some of these script extender mods on PC. And while that does still suck, obviously, it's not nearly as bad as it typically would be on PC. Most people downgraded already after they broke everything last year with the next-gen update. So for a lot of PC players with big mod lists, they weren't even updating to this version of the game anyway. That was never on the table. Lots of us are still on the 2019 version of Fallout 4. But even further, since this was such a minor update overall, lots of mods will be working again soon. Fallout 4 Script Extender is already updated. Many of the other Script Extender mods can now start working on their updates as well. So yeah, mods were expected to break, but DLC requirements for mods were not expected to break. And that's ending up causing a much larger issue this time around than it typically would, and it's basically just breaking Fallout 4 for a ton of people that want to play it. But I think this does eventually get us around to what I view as the most insulting part of all of this, and that is, this is what the plan was. Look, obviously things are going much worse because there's a bunch of newfound bugs that are popping up. I can't imagine Bethesda expected that, but at the same time, they should have been prepared for it or done further testing. Because at the end of the day, we all know that last year's next-gen update was a complete disaster. It broke the game, it released broken, and it had a bunch of other issues around it. So then after a year and a half, the big new thing you're going to do is fix some of the bugs you introduced last year, not even all of them, not really change much else about the game, but then also add in paid mods. Like, in what way is this a celebration of Fallout 4? The one cool thing is, yeah, you do have this New Vegas themed bounty hunter mod. That one is genuinely cool and it's free. But beyond that, the rest of this is just kind of nonsense, even if it is working properly. To me, this was really Bethesda's opportunity to make it right, and instead we have another disaster where many people are updating a game that was working fine and now it doesn't work as well. And even if it was working well, the only thing that would have been changed is fixing problems you introduced last year, and now you could sell us some mods. But even further, all that waiting to not actually have this update be ready yet is just insane. Like, if we do actually get a mod space expansion in early 2026, that's just obnoxious. A ton of people are returning to Fallout 4 now, before the holidays and around the holidays, as you're doing these big new updates. The fact that the mod space expansion, the feature that most console players have spent the past decade begging for, still isn't ready is just insane. Bethesda saw this date coming up. It could have been a really cool moment with a huge free mod explosion. Like, hey, imagine they reached out to a bunch of mod authors, got a bunch of cool mods available on Xbox, maybe even a few on PS5, and you have this really cool release wave to go along with the anniversary edition of free new mods to download. But very clearly, when it came to celebrating Fallout 4's 10-year anniversary, paid mods were the priority, with free features taking a backseat. Otherwise, yeah, something like a mod space expansion, the feature people actually want, would have been the #1 feature of this update. Although even on that front, it wasn't all consistent. For whatever reason, the one free new release with the Beast Hunter isn't on PlayStation yet. The same is true for the new Bounty Hunter paid mod. Seemingly they're coming, but just randomly are missing from launch on that side for some reason. And I mean, even just looking at this Creations bundle overall, who's excited about this, even internally at Bethesda? Bethesda was cagey about the price from this one from the onset, and now we know why, because pretty much everyone hates this. To be clear, this upgrade version includes the Season Pass and Creation Club stuff as a bundle. If you're just looking at some of the new creation-based content, it's just a $20 bundle, not $40. But even still, what you're getting for $20 is all of the past released Creation Club content, as well as 9 new items. When you're looking at all of this Creation Club content, it's not that cool. The new items aren't ridiculously high quality, and when looking at the new offerings as far as paid mods overall, a lot of the paid mods that aren't included with this bundle are the coolest releases from this overall. So even if you bought this bundle, spent $20, you're still not getting some of the coolest new content. And I think just speaking overall, this just feels bad again. It feels like the disconnect between Bethesda and Xbox and the fans is only growing as time goes on. Even just down to the simple Xbox everyone like that marketing. You must have known, even without the bugs, that calling what is fundamentally a paid mods update, an update that everyone will like, is a big mistake. Fans on Reddit are calling this marketing a rub in the face, and that is getting 7,000 upvotes at nearly 90% upvoted. Those kind of numbers are very telling. It's not even just that people are mad, they're mad and feel like you're rubbing it in their face. That's a whole new level of being upset with the company. Because yeah, how do you even trust Bethesda releases at this point? Fallout 4 was relatively okay for years for a ton of people. Then 2 years in a row, we get updates meant to be celebrating the game that instead release with a plethora of issues and make the game markedly worse for a bunch of the audience. The next gen update definitely had more redeeming qualities, particularly on the console side with performance, but this anniversary update is just bad. The more important fixes are just undoing what they broke last year. They're not even real fixes. And while it could have been a really cool moment for free mods or even other nice to have features to get added, of course none of that happened, and instead Fallout 4 will be getting more updates in the future, which at the very least will break mods yet again on PC, and after these last few updates, who knows what else might be breaking with these future updates. Bethesda already found themselves in a precarious situation when it came to Fallout 4 and its mods after last year, but between this and the other recent news that the Elder Scrolls 6 is still a ways away, I think fans are just genuinely sick of this company right now. They're frustrated with what changes are coming out and what new releases are being dropped. It's not like any of the other news is particularly exciting or hopeful.